Hey guys, welcome back to Maxplained, donor for Unification. Today I have another faction guide for you, this time for the Blood Angels. The Blood Angels got a rework in this version, so we can see what they have new and what was updated and stuff like that. Blood Angels in general are like these vampire space marines kind of. You see it here, Mephiston already with the skulls and yeah, looking very creepy. Yeah, they have special capabilities in melee and a lot of damage potential, but tend to be a little weaker on the defensive side. All the special stuff and so on I will explain you as usual in the save game I have prepared. And here we are in the save game where we see the whole big unit roster of Blood Angels. But before we go to through the units and buildings, as usual, talk about resources and unit caps. These are not special at all for Blood Angels. You have requisition, you have power requisition, the usual strategic point, listening posts and HQ, and power from power generators, thermoplasma generators, the usual upgrades as well. Really nothing special here. Also the caps are also the standard 10-0 to start, 10 squad cap, 0 vehicle cap, and then maximum is 20-20. You get more from researchers, from the machine building, and from sergeants. So pretty standard over here. So this is, yeah, straightforward. Now let's look through the buildings. They are also for the most part pretty standard. You have your HQ that can go up with the add-ons in tiers 1, 2, 3. And tier 1 you have your barracks for your infantry squads, your armory for some researchers, special for the armory, which you will see later in the tech tree as well, that you have the grenade researchers here, which is usually not here but in the barracks, and you have these superior bionics and superior target finders, which are basically 2 researchers in one. They cost more because of that, but yeah, the you have them only available one at a time. So the bionics is in tier 2 and the target finders in tier 3, so you have them later but combined. Yeah, that's the concept over here. Then we have the machine bastion for all your vehicle stuff, the reclusium, which is a hero building. Special about later the tier 4 researches are done in the reclusium instead of the machine bastion. That's a difference. And in tier 3 you get the orbital relay tower, which lets you research your tier 1 and tier 2 titans, and has quite a lot of unique stuff also with these 2 dreadnoughts. And the terminators are only available in the orbital relay and not in your barracks. That's something. Yeah, your generators are standard, your thermoplasma generators is standard, your listening posts are a little special in that you get from your LP2 a autocannon, and your LP3 has a graph cannon. So there you have a little differentiate. So they pack a punch, the listening posts. You do not want to stand too close to them for too long. Especially they can also now work against light vehicles early on, which is pretty handy. Your turret is a standard bolter turret into a missile launcher turret. It looks a little different than your other turrets, but the usability is the same. You also have minefields, which is your standard minefield. Nothing to say here really. Yeah, that's the buildings. Nothing special. You see, it's more or less a Space Marine standard, kind of, with some minor differences and some cool aesthetics. I have to say, the turrets and the machine bastion I like quite a lot. Yeah, let's jump to the units. And before we go into the units themselves, what they can do, there's this concept of Red Thirst and Blood Rage, which Blood Angels have. The Red Thirst is for most units, infantry units, excluding commander units, it always states in the tooltip, gene seed imperfection due to Red Thirst kinetic 4 becomes temporary berserk with bloodlust in melee. So how this works is that all infantry units, with some exceptions, have a bonus in melee. When they go in melee, they glow a little red, and the bonuses, I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is they get more maximum HP regeneration, and more damage. So they are generally better in melee. Even the tactical marines and stuff get this bonus in melee. So even the ranged squads are a little better in melee. The downside of it is if you lose your morale, you succumb to the rage basically, and you lose control over the unit. This is a problem, especially in tier 1, if the enemy goes for like flamers and stuff. In tier 2, you can kind of work around it because you can still use abilities when control is lost. Basically, they do not respond to attack or move commands or even reinforcing stuff. I have a little trick for you in a second. But you can still use the rally ability. So if there's a unit out of control, you can click rally and then you have them back in control and can move them out of the fight and do whatever you want. So that's a little way to circumvent that, which I find pretty cool. So you have like this get out of jail free card once every X seconds, which can help a lot. About losing control of units, I will say this also later in the Black Templar guide. It cancels all auto reinforce. So if you build a unit, you have this. If you right click in dev mode, they go indefinitely. If you right click, they reinforce automatically. But if you click it, it goes to this production area and gets lined up here. The controllers cancels all these what is it called? Overwatch reinforcements. But what it does not cancel is anything in this production area. So if you are about to lose control, you can still order some reinforcements and weapon upgrades and whatnot manually, so they will still reinforce while having control loss, which is very, very handy, especially for Black Templars, even more than for Blood Angels. But that's something, a little trick for you. Okay, with this concept out of the way, one last concept is Black Rage. The Black Company or the Death Company or Death Company with jetpacks have something that is called Black Rage. So they have a little extremer version of the Red Thirst. They still have these bonuses in melee, but they immediately lose control when they are in melee. So there, this little trick with the reinforcement lining up and the queuing up is even more important, because else your units will probably just die because they are not reinforced enough. So that's the Black Rage only for the Death Company. Yes, you have two branches, two paths. So you have the Might and the Wings of Sanguino. So I've all put in here. You can get the branch in your HQ. We will see it later in the tech tree a little more detailed. I will tell you which stuff is for which branch if there are differences. Okay, now finally jumping into the units, starting with the builders and commanders. Your builders is pretty standard, a machine Heliod, which is basically a servitor, nothing special here. Builds stuff, repairs stuff. There you go. Then you have also a skull probe from a listing post, which is also nothing special. It can attach, it can get infiltration at its detector unit, and can also use sabotage to stun production buildings and vehicles. Your tier 1 commander is Captain Tycho over here. He starts with a standard bolt pistol and a sword. He can later, as you see here, get a melter rifle. His starting ability is the Embittered, so he learns glows and stuff, which increases the damage he does, but increases the damage he takes. And this bonus, most importantly, is also carried over to the squad he leads. So the bonus is damage, but also the bonus damage taken is converted. So although you think this would be a nice melee commander, he's very nice if attached to ranged squads, if they can keep out of the firing line, basically. So they can then get get the bonuses without the maluses, basically. Later on he can get the battle cry, which is he shouts and everybody does more damage, and the orbital bombardment. And there's one last thing. Succumb to Rage is a tier 4 thingy, which transforms him to the Death Company Tycho. We quickly jump over. Death Company Tycho is basically the standard Tycho, but tougher. Has the same abilities, apart from the Empowering Rage ability, which is a different thing. Here you see he cannot be attached, so he's then a standalone commander. And you put this here on here. You need to click this over and over again, so he gets stronger and keeps getting stronger. So the duration is rather slow for it. So if you can keep clicking it, he will stay pretty strong in melee. So it takes quite a lot of micro, but is rewarded with some damage bonuses. But also, extremely powerful, but requires constant attention to sustain. Greatly boosts combat skill. This has not the downside of him getting any downside in damage taken or so. But yeah, you need to click it over and over again. So this is basically a reward for people that can micro well, basically. Okay, this is your tier 1 commander. In tier 2 you have access to 2 more commanders. One is Corbulio, High Priest Corbulio, which is basically, you see him drink from the grail. He is basically a apothecary, but stronger with commander armor. And yeah, only one. You cannot get multiple apothecaries. This is the guy basically, doing the apothecary work. Has a healing aura with an upgrade with the grail. He also gets a general bonus. I think they fight with greater resolve, which can mean damage or damage resistance, stuff like that. Yeah, so he's very powerful for a apothecary. I like to get him on the melee squads for obvious reasons. You also get access to Mr. Chief Librarian Mephiston, which is your librarian equivalent, which is very powerful on its own, but also has powerful abilities. He can use the Transfixing Gaze, which is basically a stun. You say they are rooted for, so cannot use abilities, upgrades, and reinforce. Basically a stun. This is available right away. Then you get upgrades for the Sword of Sanguinus, which increases his melee damage, I think. Extra damage for a short duration, yes. And then he can use Storm of the Emperor, which invokes the Wraith Manifestor, creates a long-lasting flaming area. You see here, you use it and then you have a flaming area dealing damage. You also can get an upgrade which allows him to teleport really far away as well. And then depending if you choose Might or Wings of Sanguinus. If you use Might, you can use this, Unleash Rage, cause extra damage. And if you use the Wings, you move faster and have better weapon accuracy, which is also damage increase if you think about it. So from the two, I like Quickening a bit more. I think this is just a raw damage bonus. You see here, and this is a speed and damage bonus. In tier 3, I think, you get also access to this guy over here, Daniel the Stern God Marine, which is a Lamentor. Lamentor? How do you pronounce it? Lamentor Stern God Marine. Yeah, it's a little funny unit. You can read something in the tips. He has grenades, he can attach to a squad, and he has, most importantly, a grav gun over here. Graviton cannon gun, so very useful and yeah, pretty nice to attach to a squad to have additional firepower. In tier 4 you get access to Commander Dante. I think you also need a relic, but we can see this in the tech tree later on. Commander Dante is a jumpy commander, you see here, with very nice looking armor and an axe. Can use this Wrath of Sanguinus, which is basically a kind of an orbital bombardment kind of thingy. Looks a bit different, I think. And has access to up to 4 of these Sanguinio Honor Guards. These Honor Guards are pretty potent melee units with commander armor, which can also use these frag and melter grenades you see here, but they have a shared cooldown, which is nice, so that you do not get one for each, but yeah, the first one enables these if they are research. He can also jump, of course. The latest commander, quote-unquote commander unit, it's more of an angelic or demonic unit, is the Sanguinio, which is a tier 2 titan, one of the strongest tier 2 titans in the game. Melee only, can jump really far. You see here, jump cooldown isn't high as well. Very, very, very strong in melee, kills basically everything in melee, but needs to go into melee, so has the downside of all melee titans. Has a lot of HP, and yeah, one of the most powerful commanders. Not sure if he is even more powerful than what is it called again? The guy from Chaos Demons, Angron. No, not Angron. It was Angron, but it was not Angron at all. Scarbrand. I think he can even hold his own against Scarbrand. So very powerful tier 2 titan. If you get to there, that is. Okay, with the commander stuff out of the way, we now jump into the infantry. And the first infantry you have access to are these Scout Marines. The Scout Marines are a little more melee orientated. You see they have these thoughts, so they can hold their own in melee, especially with the buffs of the Red Thirst. You can, most importantly, upgrade them with shotguns. And these shotguns are available as soon as you build an armory, and you can get up to 2 of those. They are okay-ish in price, but have a very good knockback and very good range on them, so very nice scouts indeed. In tier 2 you can get a scout sergeant, which also then gets plasma pistols and stuff like that. And the most important thing which differentiates them from other scouts is that they have access to frag grenades. So they can be really powerful. You can have a scout spam build order where you get like 5 scouts. They're limited at 5. And if you have 5 scouts with shotguns and frag grenades, they can be very, very dangerous in tier 1, indeed. In tier 2, they can get the research which gives them infiltration, which is also more or less standard for scouts. And the sergeant, of course, can use the rally ability. Over here, we have the tactical marines, which is more or less your bread and butter, you can think of. These guys, yeah, are your ranged variety. You can use them in melee, as I said, with the red thirst. Have access to flamers in tier 1 and then later on plasma guns, melter guns, and which is kind of special, is a graviton gun in tier 4, which is limited to 1. Graviton guns have a little AoE and stuff, so very powerful weapon. If you have still tactical marines around in tier 4, you really want to get this weapon on them. I'm not sure if it's worth to add tactical marines in tier 4 just to get this weapon, but yeah, can be a thing. Very nice sergeant over here. You get, of course, frag grenades on them and can use rally. Around here we have the assault squad, which is your other tier 1 unit. Assault squads for Blood Angels are good, better than normal assault squads in the sense that they get these red thirst bonuses in melee, but also the downside, if you overstay your welcome, you can lose the whole squad in tier 1. You can use rally in tier 2 and then melter bombs if research, so very useful in that sense. In tier 2 you have, depending on the path, you get either veteran squad or assault veteran squads. These guys need 1 tactical or assault squad on the field already to be fielded, and then they are limited to 2. These are generally melee orientated unit, even though they can get plasma pistols and generally they are melee orientated. They start off with a lower model count, I think 4 unit and a sergeant, and that's it. And in tier 3 you can get more sergeants. They also have a special research which increases their, I'm not sure if the armor type, but in general their health and stuff, which is the Terminator honors over here. Let's quickly check. It's close to 6000 HP. If we click this, okay, it's then damage and armor type increase then. So they get then probably Terminator armor, which is nice. It's a tier 3 research, making a veteran squad very capable. Apart from the weapon upgrades and the general fighting capabilities, they still can use frag grenades and rally. And these assault veterans have the same weapon loadouts, can jump of course, and also can use then melter bombs and use rally with the commander. In tier 2 you have also access to Devastator squads. The Devastators for Blood Angels need a research, which is the heavy weapon research, which is a research which also increases the heavy weapon count of your units around. So it's a double thingy, and then you can field up to 3 Devastators. These Devastators start with standard bolters. That's why their reinforcement cost is as much as a Space Marine, because they're basically a Space Marine with a blue helmet in the start, and then later on you can get heavy bolters, plasma cannons, missile launchers, and multi-melters. I think in tier 1 you get access to the heavy bolter and the missile launcher, and the plasma cannon and multi-melter is tier 3. Yeah, very useful unit. You can never have too much long-range support, especially as your standard marines do not get heavy bolters or missile launchers. These guys are very important. They also work very well in tandem with Mr. Tycho over here, which I said his damage bonus increases the damage taken, but if you have long range and stay out of the line of fire of the enemy because you have longer range, they can be very good if you attach them to those guys. That is your tier 2 for the most part. You also get 1 special Primaris squad depending on the branch in tier 2. You get these Primaris heavy intercessors squad, which is basically guys with heavy bolters. Really big heavy bolters that is, and a Primaris leader which has a plasma pistol and stuff. Interesting to note is that for those guys you do not need the heavy weapon research, so you can get heavy bolters on the field without the heavy weapon research to get Devastators. So you can get, if you use the Might of Sanguinus, these guys out, as I said, without the research. Other than that, they have a reliability on the Sergeant. On the other side, you have these Primaris Assault Intercessor Squad, which yeah, are really handy to have, which is basically your Primaris Assault Squad, but more versatile. They have frag grenades and crack grenades, which can use against buildings and vehicles, of course, can rally with the commander and are a little more versatile in their weapon options. They can also use flamers, plasma guns and melter guns, which is what your standard Space Marines can do as well, but also a power sword. So they can double down on anti-vehicle. I've seen this in a cast where the Primaris Intercessor Squad were used to shoot down enemy flyers with the melter gun. So they can jump in, use the melter gun, and even jump out if these things get too dicey. So that is your tier 2. In tier 3, you unlock the Death Company variant. For Might of Sanguinius, you get the on foot Death Company, which has the Black Rage and stuff, and really like the Chalice on the back over here. And they can get the Chaplain Lemartis. Lemartis is also a commander unit, but is always attached to the squad. Kind of similar to how it is for Grey Knight Sisters, now that I think about it. He has a HP, regeneration, aura, and I think, give me a second, inspire around Lancing and housing regeneration. So yeah, regeneration aura, because he's a chaplain for the most part, and he can use rigid discipline, which greatly increases melee damage, causes all damage squads. So they get more damage while this is used. So he is expensive, of course, because he's a commander, but if you have him on the squad, his Death Company survivability is very high. Before you have with the control loss, you can lose them a little more easily than you might think. For the Wings of Sanguinius, you have the Death Company with really, really, really nice black wings. I really, really like this model. One of my favorite models of Blood Angels, I have to say. You can also get Lemartis for those, and they can jump, but other than that have the same traits as the guys on foot. Before we go to the Terminators, you get for the Wings of Sanguinius also another Primaris squad, which is the Primaris Suppressor squad, which can also jump, get grenades, and the grenades are this time tied to the commander, I think. Yes, they have autocannons, which is really nice, so they are good against infantry and vehicles, and the squad leader even gets a last cannon, and they can quickly redeploy with the jump ability, so have very mobile anti-vehicle with also long range. So these guys are really good. The only downside, really, if there's anything, is that they are limited to 3 models and a commander, but I think that is on purpose because they are just such a good unit. In tier 3, you also get access to your Terminator variants, like these Terminator Assault Squad, which is your Assault Terminators, can get a Sergeant for rally ability. They also have the Red Thirst, so they can also lose control, but they have a lot of morale as well. They have Lightning Claws by default, but also can get Thunderhammers. The teleport ability you see here is only available if you go Might of Sanguinius. For Wings of Sanguinius, the teleport ability is not available. The research for it, so they stay on foot. The ranged variant is your Terminator squad. Pretty much the same stuff, more range orientated, of course. Also get the Terminator Sergeant for the rally ability. The jump ability again is tied to the Might of Sanguinius, and the weapon options are also pretty standard in the Heavy Flamer and Assault Cannon, but they also get access to 1 Graviton Cannon in tier 4, so very useful in that. That's your tier 3 units. In tier 4 you unlock even more units. Before we jump to those, we quickly go to the Sanguino Honor Guard. You have a Honor Guard on foot for the Might of Sanguinius, and an Honor Guard with jump packs for the Wing of Sanguinius. The only difference is that they can jump and those guys cannot. They get 2 kinds of grenades if you research them, so that's very useful. And they get the Sanguino Honor Guard banner bearer, which is this guy here with the big flags. It's the same flag. This has wings, and this is also wings. Yeah, you see really Blood Angels, very nice banner. I really dig those banners. The banner bearer increases the damage, I think, of units around. Banner inspires all around them. Yeah, basically, I think morale and damage bonuses. Can only get 1 of these, of course, and they are really expensive to reinforce because they are really, really good in that sense. Yeah, and the jumping part of it is basically the same, but they can jump. You can see they have also some ranged capabilities, but are more useful in melee. And they also have the Red Thirst, so they are not immune. And then you have one special squad, the Sanguini Honor Guard Terminators, which is exclusive to the Might of Sanguinius, which they are spawned by the Land Raider. The Land Raider Phobos? Mark to be Land Raider Phobos, this guy. Require tier 4, of course, and can get a Sanguino Honor Guard Sergeant. Yeah, it's basically just a better variant of those. They have these Thunder Hammers and Storm Shields, so they're very, very durable. They start with teleport directly. They do not need to research for it, and are generally very Chat Terminator guys. Really, really powerful guys without morale. So even though they so these are in resistance to the Red Thirst basically because they have no morale, so they wouldn't have no downside with it. So very strong indeed. If you are tier 4 and have the Land Raider out, might as well get those guys. They help a lot. So these are now all the infantry out of the way. We now jump over to the vehicles, and the vehicles are also really nice in that you have the your more or less standard Rhino, which is here an assault Rhino, which the difference is that you do not have only this hull mounted bolter, you also have a guy with a bolter, so they are a little more damagey, can transport stuff and use smoke launchers when researched. You also have access to 2 dreadnoughts, which is your standard dreadnought over here, which is your one hand for bashing, one arm for a heavy bolter over here, also flamer wrist mounted, and you can exchange the bolter for a multi-melter. Then you have here the so-called Furioso dreadnought, which is a melee-orientated dreadnought with 2 grab hands to attack and also these wrist-mounted flamers, but this looks like something different, not sure what this is. And this guy can get a fragmentation cannon in tier 3, which is really helpful. Basically a grenade launcher, a very strong grenade launcher in that. And he can also use smoke launchers, so he is a little more versatile later on. Depending on the branch, you also have access to a Razorback if you go Might of Sanguinus. So Razorback, you all know, is basically a Rhino with a little more fighty stuff. Can only transport 1 unit, I think, instead of 2. Has access to a multi-melter even in tier 2 directly, so can double down on your mobile anti-vehicle and can also use smoke launchers once researched. And then in tier 2 you have access to the Death Company Rhino. In tier 2 you do not need it really as much. Because yeah, it's just another Rhino, I think, with a little more HP. Yes, little less damage because it only has this Storm Bolter over here, can use smoke launchers. But in tier 3 these are used to summon the Death Company for the Might of Sanguinus. So you I think the ideal place or time to get them is when you're attacking to tier 3 and you want to have an impact directly in tier 3 with the Death Company. You get them on the way to tier 3, that is. For Wings and Sanguinus, we quickly switch over again. You have this Land Speeder, which is your more or less standard Land Speeder, can get heavy flamers and multi-melters. Multi-melters very expensive but very good. And you have your Land Speeder Tempest, yeah, which is also your more or less standard Land Speeder Tempest with frag missiles for anti-infantry and crack missiles for anti-vehicle. This is your tier 2 vehicles. In tier 3 you unlock the Bald Predator and your quote-unquote standard Predator. The Bald Predator is more an anti-infantry beast, has okay-ish range, can upgrade these heavy bolters at the side with heavy flamers, making him lower range but more damagey, I think. Really nice cannons on the top. Your Predator over here is more or less a standard Predator, but you will notice he has 2 barrels at the top, so he is right out of the gate very strong. Has, I think, also a little longer range than a standard Predator, but I might be wrong on that. You can upgrade in tier 4 these last cannons at the side, but not these auto cannons at the top. I just noticed that these last cannons on the side are really expensive. Normally they are a little cheaper, but maybe they are also a little stronger, not sure. Here with the flamers you can see here that the range is a little lower than that, but I think for a flamer this is also still a very decent range. You see here, these are also, that's why they are twin-linked las cannons instead of 1 las cannon each side. So that's why they are more expensive, because they are even stronger. So this Predator in general is, I think, one of the best Predator variants you can get for any Space Marine factions around. And one special unit, which is a new unit to them with re-rug, is the Librarian Dreadnought. Look at him, really nicely, the head and stuff. Mostly melee orientated, but has really nice spells. He starts with Smite and Shield of Sanguinus. Basically Smite, you all know, damage in a little area, and then you have Shield of Sanguinus, which reduces the damage taken of 1 unit. And then with an upgrade later on you can get Blood Boil, reaches inside his foe's getting their blood to boil. This causes heavy damage to the enemy and those around. I'm not sure if this is only infantry. He can also teleport, which is pretty nice. The only thing I noticed, he has no detection, which would be just the cherry on top. Because he's a librarian, he should normally be able to detect, I think. But nothing that can't be changed in the future. For the Might of Sanguinius, you also have this Primaris Rhino, which is special to them. Basically a kind of a Daedalus. What is it called? It's not Daedalus. Or is it? Like this thing with the radar on top. I think it's Daedalus. Correct me. I think there's a special term for that in other Space Marine chapters. Basically, of these very fragile, he has double plasma gun, however, so he can be more dangerous in combat. Has access to smoke launchers and sensor map and hunter killer missile, which is very nice. Hunter in range and sensor map. Briefly reads a large around the vehicle nearby, so this is very useful. I think, I'm not sure how big the range is, but I think it says large amount, and also can use an orbital bombardment. The orbital bombardment, however, just to make sure you guys do not think it's overpowered, it has a shared cooldown with the orbital bombardment of Tycho and also the Black Company Tycho, Death Company Tycho. So yeah, it can be useful if you have a Tycho around and still want to use orbital bombardment. I really like this unit in general as a supportive kind of vehicle. In Tier 4, you get access to one special dreadnought, again, the Moria the Chosen, which is a Death Company dreadnought over here. You can see it also clearly in the black looks of it. There can be deep strike, melee orientated, cannot get any special weapons, but has an aura around and inspires all those around him to greater act of valor, granting them a small chance to avoid fatal wounds, which is really nice. Just an ability to ignore ignore death, very useful. You also get access to a Vindicator for the Might of Sanguinius and a Whirlwind for the Wings of Sanguinius. They do not have special abilities, but are short range, more impact artillery, long range, less impact artillery. Your relic units are also depending on your path choice. On Might of Sanguinius you get this Land Raider, Mark II-B Land Raider Phobos. Land Raider Phobos is with the last cannons at the side, has a twin-linked heavy bolter or storm bolter at the top, and also this little guy here with some storm bolter, I think it's called. As I said, can summon the Sanguino Honor Guard and can use the Machine Spirit for some more damage resistance. I'm not really sure if in general, no, it does not decrease speed. For some Land Raider variants it also decreases the speed, but not for this. For Wings and Sanguinius you get this Storm Raven. The Storm Raven got changed to not be like a skimmer, but if you can get up, an actual flyer unit this time. Woohoo! Look at it go. The flyer unit is really nice. Can land to transport stuff, but the weapons and has enabled is really nice. Has a twin-linked two heavy bolters at the front and two less cannons at the top, which I like. Can be put to the ground to transport stuff, and generally it's nice to have it airborne for the most part. And then we jump to the two big guys over here. The Storm Raven, not the Storm Raven, the Land Raider Infernus is a heavy, what I call a super heavy, which is basically a relic, but requires an additional critical because it does not share the cap. Really good at short range anti-infantry stuff for the most part. Can also use the Machine Spirit and transport stuff, of course. The weapon loadout you can see here has a flamer and a heavy flamer, because what is better than just having a heavy flamer? Getting another flamer, of course. So he has a lot of flamey bits. These, I think, assault cannon at the top, and this twin. This does look like a melter or also a flamer. Not really sure what this guy on top has. So very flamey, very anti-infantry Land Raider variant. Very useful against factions that have excessive amount of infantry. And then we have here the Sikaran Omega Tank Destroyer. I really like to say this. This is your Tier 1 Titan. Look at the big plasma bits on top, which are really nice. Still has heavy bolters at the front, less cannons at the side, and still one guy with a flamer on top, because why not? So the range of the flamer, this is the one in the middle, so this is more of a short range defense. Can use also the machine spirit, smoke launchers, and hunter killer missiles. It's really nice. Just quickly target ground to see. Look at this. I really like it. Loading and shooting. Really good rate of fire. Just seeing it here. Really, really nice. Loving this unit, I have to say. And I think these are just bits for the plasma things over here. These do not shoot. A lot of HP, very mobile for what it is, and yeah, very useful. That's the hunter killer missiles even on long range engagements. Okay, I think this covers all the units in detail. The next part is always the tech tree, which is for Blood Angels a little more interesting because of the branching system and whatnot. So yeah, we will see us in the document now. And here are the tech tree document, which is as usual also available in my Google Drive. Just for you to read it the right way, I have used color coding all units that are and upgrades that are in blue outline is only for the Might of Sanguinius, and red outline is for Wings of Sanguinius. So you see it here, for example, for the vehicles, you see here the Razorback is blue and these two land speeders are red, stuff like that. Yeah, what I was about to say are the, for example, the researches in the armory. You can see here that you have these grenades, both, and the melter bombs also just in the armory, not in the barracks, and also you have only one of these bionics and targeters. That's something I said to you already in the video. What is also special, as I said, is that the tier 4 research is in the hero building, and then the further researches for tier 1 Titan and tier 2 Titan is in your orbital relay beacon. Yes, this is basically all I want to say here, because if you want to look special unit requirement and stuff up, you can do it yourself in the document. Nothing I can add here pretty much, because I already told you in the video. Quickly jumping over to the units over here. I made clear that you can get the Black Death Company Tycho from the research in tier 4. And yeah, the Sanguino Honor Guard here for the Dante gets the grenades, not Dante himself. Yeah, and for here you see also when you get the weapons. For the most weapons are of course available in tier 2, and later these graviton guns are tier 4, and some of these other weapons are tier 3. Yeah, Death Company all covered over here with their abilities. I also have added like the Red Thirst and Black Rage passive, so you can see which units are affected by it and which units are not. The vehicles are more or less self-explanatory as well. And lastly, we just have a quick look on the bonus units you get in survival, which is a scout and a Space Marine Tactical. So these are not the best reinforcements you can get, but then it gets better. You get a Furioso Dreadnought, which can of course now get this fragmentation grenade, and you can get a Predator out here, you see. And what I find really cool is that you can get these Land Raider, which can always summon these Terminators, which are normally, because of the Land Raider being locked behind the Might of Sanguinius, is also only available for those. But if you go survival and even go wings, you still get this Land Raider and still can get these Terminators, which I find really nice in that. Okay. Yeah, one thing you will see in the build orders, which I didn't tell you yet, is the costs for the tier ups. The tier 2 for Blood Angels only costs 100 power, but then 350 requisition, and the tier 3 costs 400 requisition and 300 power. So it's a little less expensive on the power side, and especially the tier 2 research leaves an option for a really nice build order, which I will of course show you now in the build order documents. And here we are in the build order document, where I have a handful of build orders for Blood Angels for you, as the paths and branches only have effect in tier 2 onwards. They are not covered here in a special opener for this and a special opener for this. They lead to some tier 2 transitions which are better for one or the other. Like the standard quote-unquote standard, which is, I don't think, the best way to open with them, but is for me the standard, as you get a decently tight time tier 2 and only need one generator. As I said, these guys only need 100 power to get to tier 2. So even with the Captain Tycho here, it's very good to go with only one generator. As for this build order, you go with a Servitor and 2 Scouts and then Captain Tycho. That you can build Captain Tycho from the HQ, enables you to get him out while you also get the Space Marines, like on the same time, which then has a faster impact him having on the field. So he can immediately let's say, attach to the Space Marines and use his ability and stuff. You always want to have a second Space Marine squad. Yes, their Scouts are nice, but yeah, to hold yourself in tier 2 and tier 1, a second Space Marine squad is required. And then yeah, you just get tier 2 and then you move on from there. And thing you can move on in tier 2 from that is, let's say, Might of Sanguinus and these Honor Guards. Are these Honor Guards? No, these Veterans. But then you have a really lack on anti-vehicle, so this can be dicey at times. This is the opener I really like. I call it Genlist tier 2. You could also call it Space Marine spam. The big difference between Space Marine spam for all your general Space Marines and Blood Angels is that you do not need a generator to get to tier 2. You cannot upgrade any listening posts, of course, but as you have these Scouts and then up to 4 squads of Space Marines, you have a big bulk of units that also cannot be easily towed down in melee because you get these bonuses in melee. So this is a really nice build order for early pressure, which then allows you to get probably more listening posts up than the enemy, or at least deny listening posts from the enemy. And then you can get tier 2 even without a generator. And even further, in tier 2 you can give these guys sergeants, and these sergeants also do not cost any power, so you can get a long way without getting a single generator with this build. I have a replay for you, which I will share you later in this guide, which showcases the strength of this build. I really dig in this one. Then you have Assault Marines, and this is also a little special take on Assault Marines. Your standard Assault Marines for Space Marines would have 2 Assault Marines. Why do I have here only 1? This has 2 reasons. The first reason is that your Scouts are really good, especially if you give them these shotguns. These shotguns cost power and stuff, and so you will not be able to afford a second Space Marine Assault Marine squad that easily, and these Scouts can support this 1 squad of Assault Marines also really good. You want to get 1 generator, sometimes even 2, because you pay for the armory and these shotguns, so maybe 2 generators is even better for this one, depending on your expenses, you could say. And the second reason why you can or want only 1 Space Marines Assault Marine squad is that this is the requirement to get these veteran Assault Marines out in tier 2, is to have a squad of those. So you are, let's say, delaying your jumpy troops in tier 2, where you then can get the 2 veterans, these Assault Primaris Assault guys. And if you give them all the sergeants, you can get all what I said, this Assault Marine, the 2 veterans, and the Primaris without getting a support cap upgrade, which costs, of course, resources. So if you get only 1 and then all the things I said, you have enough pop cap to get all of this out without paying for the research. Yeah, which is, in tier 2 you always want to get, of course, the, the melters, of course, the melter bombs. You can also argue for the grenades, as these guys get grenades, and the Primaris Assaults guys also get grenades, so yeah, getting grenades is also really nice. But yeah, this is the reason why you only get 1 in the usual. Then of course you can get a tier 2 rush. You can, this is very, as usual, very dangerous in terms of surviving that long. There are 2 transitions I like from this. Mostly the Machine Bastion transition, where you can get either Rhinos and Razorbacks, which is a good combination, or you get like these Landspeeder Tempests. Landspeeder Tempests are really, really expensive and take a long time, but the so I like the Razorbacks and Rhinos a lot more. The Rhinos, especially for Blood Angels, I showed you have these hull-mounted bolters, but also this guy with a bolter, so they have a little more damage. So getting all the 4 limit Assault Rhino can be very tempting and really good if you field them fast enough, because you also want to have some anti-vehicle out, which then in turn can be enabled by your Razorbacks. So this is a really nice tier 2 rush, I think mostly for might, but can also very well work for wings. And then you have the scout spam, which is the last build order I have here, which is a thing I really like to play as well. You get basically 5 scouts, give them shotguns, give them grenades, and yeah, call it a day. No, you have to micro quite a lot because you need to use these grenades to good effect, and you need to use these shotguns to great effect. These are very expensive scouts in that sense, and yeah, you can also reinforce them a bit to have some redundancy, so that not only the models with the shotguns die basically. Can be very powerful, but can be also shut down. So for example, I wouldn't go this build order against orcs, for example, because everything orc has building wise can shoot back, and these guys can really be very powerful against infantry and even commanders, but anything that is building and can shoot back, these guys die too easily and are cost ineffective. As you pay a lot for the grenades and these shotguns, you of course want to have 2 generators with this. Yes, then the closing parts of this guide, I have not only 1 replay for you, but 2. 1 showcasing these Genless tier 2 and 1 showcasing the Assault Marines. Both of which I have played against A1 Kenobi. We both aren't like the top tier players, so take the things with a little grain of salt that you may not be able to use this 101 on a number or Kukai or a Koiken, so they can probably deal with it or use this a little more efficiently than I do in the replays. But yeah, enough talk of that. We will see us in the replay. And here we are on the first of 2 replays. I had games that I had played against A1 Kenobi, and yeah, this one I got a little relic thingy enabled, but it doesn't play that much of a role. So yeah, my idea here is to use the tier 2 without a generator, basically playing the whole game without a generator, and I go Might of Sanguinus. Not that I really need to, but I selected it. And yeah, going 2 scouts into second builder for the barracks. There's 2 scouts. My general capping order is going the first one here, then this, and this guy goes from here to here to here, and because we have the relic, he will come back at some point. At this point I leave for the Space Marines, the first squad of Space Marines. It works out pretty well in terms of resources, that you can have 2 tactical swords and still have the 200 over to get the listing post. So this listing post and this one, and then from the general ticking income as well as the gift you get from the listing post, you can pretty much immediately then get the 3rd tactical sword. So we have 3 tactical marines very early in the game and can be quite aggressive. In terms of player skill, I think A1 Kenobi is a little bit lower than me, not by a large margin, but it may show a bit that some of the stuff I can deal easier with than, let's say, a stronger player like Number or Koiken and stuff, people like that. So first tactical marine is out, or the second I think, and the first one is finished capping, and then I have a 3rd one on the way. My idea is to be over here, to be aggressive to the closest listing post, and then I see these raptors and I think, do I go back? And then I think, no, I have tactical squads now in the base. This listing post is getting built up. This one is already finished, so nothing I really need to fear. So I can just stand here and shoot with those. And here I finish or focus the builder, so then I can later focus the listing post. These raptors now go to this side, then deciding to come back in, and at some point I will get my 4th squad. For now I think I start reinforcing those, and then even I think cancelling it in it would be more beneficial, I cancelled it, to get another squad so I can start kiting. And those I first forget it, but then I use shift commands to shift them around the listing post, while I then can play over here a bit more, decapping this one and going with those guys over here. So yeah, like how I killed the worker so easily without him retreating it. That's one point that other players would do better. Also getting a point up here, so letting me not decapping is also something that other players might or might not do better a bit. Over here we have a fight against cultists that cost 20 to reinforce, against scouts that cost 45. I constantly reinforce those and he constantly reinforces the cultist squad, so not sure if this is cost effective for any of us. But for now these guys duking it out. One squad moving away, coming back in, so and the Raptors trying to be aggressive over here, but yeah, meeting two Marines over here. I even capture this point fully and this one also soonish, and then move on to support my scouts. So you see I have a hell of a lot of resources, and now I think I'm, yeah, other than reinforcing those scouts, I'm not reinforcing much. I'm getting a lot of points, and you need 350 and 100 to tech up, but for now I'm getting the listing posts up first, and then at some point I will tech up. But you see here I have now 4 squads of Space Marines, not reinforced yet. The scouts are still alive. You see them here in melee getting berserk if they are in melee, and then calmly shooting their bolt pistol once they're not. So then I can now capture this one and then the middle as well. Getting this point now, and now I should click the tier 2 button. Max, can you please? Yes, there you go. Click the tier 2 button. I will think, yeah, I start reinforcing those guys because I now want to get aggressive, but I think I delayed it to get this point up. Normally you wouldn't have this point at all, so this is a minor stuff you wouldn't have. And now you will see me getting the overwatch here on all squads, because I have a hell of a lot of income and now forcing the issue over here. There's an upgraded listing post, so just quickly, yes, this income isn't as bad as it would be without this upgraded listing post. And here I try to get all my units into range pretty fast. The downside is that these guys are, because I'm reinforcing all guys, these guys are not getting as much reinforcement done, but I try to kill down the worker and now getting them out of firing range. But you see, if you have enough Space Marines, they can just stand here and shoot all day, every day. So getting this point now down, getting those guys back, reinforcing them again, and now starting to be more and more aggressive. I can use those the squad with the least mortal count to decap, because then I do not lose the DPS, the least DPS you could say. And now yeah, stopping it, and then now these guys can also fire, and yeah, I have just more stuff than he does. So moving a bit out of the firing arc of this listing post, I try at least. It is still firing, however, and now standing here and yeah, getting the the plasma generator. And at some point I'm actually, yeah, I'm tier 2 now, and adding now sergeants, I think at some point. Yeah, you see me trying to add sergeants now as well, because they do not cost any power. So there you go, getting more and more stuff built over here, trying to get this point, killing the cultists over here. So this is now over because I just have a whole bunch of Space Marines in his base. So this is kinda how this is supposed to work. You're not supposed to win exactly directly in tier 1 with it, but you can. This is one of these builds where you, if you build enough momentum, like in particular getting these points over here, which are not contested, which are normally his points, but also getting everything in the south, you can just move to victory over here. A little bit of micro, of course, but I think, not sure, are there? Yeah, there's some sergeants also on the way. So yeah, this would be even better. Then I would at some point need to add a generator for an armory, for example, or a hero production building, stuff like that. Okay, this is the first of 2 replays. The second one is also me against A1 Kenobi with the same matchup, but a different build order and a different map. So yeah, see you in a second. And here on the second replay, on the southern side as Chaos Marines we have A1 Kenobi, and on the northern side as Blood Angels we have myself. I'm going for the Assault Marine opener I showed you. I think, yeah, I need to get another scout. Yeah, 3 scouts it is. And also going wings, because in tier 2 I want to have wings on my back. No, the veterans, that is. So I get 3 scouts. The capping order on this map, if you have 3 scouts, is getting the outer points. So these guys go this, and the relic. These guys getting this, and the relic. The last guy gets the back, and then the middle critical location. With this build up, you have enough resources for 1 listing post, 1 all this finished, and you have your ASM on the way. So yeah, you can double build the first listing post before splitting your workers. That's the most optimal way. So once this is built, you see ASM and you see 100 resources exactly lining up for the first listening post. And then you can split these guys, one go over here and one go over here. The one in the back you will delay most of the time because you want to have the outer listening points first built up so that they cannot be decapped as easily. Enemy walking straight to your base decapping is only a thing if they go, in case of CSM, which I'm facing, would be only a thing if they go Raptors, that is. So Sword Squad is out and immediately using one jump because they have two jumps, and yeah, you can make a lot of distance over here, especially with the terrain, and then moving over to this side because it is closer. You can also go over here, but this is a little closer. Ignoring the Chaos Lord is the best thing you can do with Assault Marines. For now I'm just checking what can I do here, and then I decide, yeah, there must be a heretic, and I focus him down. Again, a thing of AO1 that he does not move back his builders. You really want to move back your builders. Not that you can necessarily save it, but you can buy some time. And if you buy time, then this thing could not happen, like immediately decap over here. In the middle we have something I didn't notice for some time, that there are cultists again, so I need to reinforce them for a bit. Now getting back to get this point up, getting this point, so all the points in the world for now. And yeah, at some point I will start getting shotguns, yeah, on these scouts that are finished capping basically and are about to join combat. I get shotguns on these guys that are just for the capping duty. I do not get the resources for capping. I rather build up more listening posts or reinforce my ASM. He's running away with cultists over here, more cultists on this side. With the Chaos Lord, more cultists over here, so I just park my guys, these assault squads, in the heavy cover. You see me reinforcing them once more, not because I want another shotgun, which I cannot get, it's just to divide the damage taken to maybe a model that has no shotgun. So we for now stand here pretty. I ignore the Chaos Lord on purpose and build up my points outwards and see that this is not built up. Something also that some other players would have already built up. So I now can decap this and go in melee with those guys so they cannot use their grenade launchers. I can now also bring these guys with the shotguns in combat. I forgot for the most part these guys that also can now start getting stuff done. I will not want to stay in these listening posts here. This is something I mess up a bit because I'm micro in the back. My generator was poorly placed over here so that the Chaos Lord can just pound it. I think at some point upgrade this listening post, which is not the wisest choice because he will just kill it. Nevertheless, the time to upgrade is too long. But I get this point now. And now can even build this up. And you see the scouts can even hold against these Space Marines that are kind of oddly split up. Having these ASM for now just patrolling on the sides, getting the point in the middle. These guys for now holding this position to get this point up. So even as we stand here, I have the economy advantage. You see here that upgrading this listening post is a mistake. Over here I lost my builder, or it is in the process building up here, so build another one to get this point done. And now I still have some ASM and some of these scouts around, so I can challenge those cultists over here, which I will gladly do, killing models left, right and center. There's some Chaos Marines now. Not sure why they attacked these posts over here and not grabbed their own point first. The Chaos Lord actually killed the strategic point, but that's fine by me. He could get, he has the Chaos Champions on those guys with the plasma pistols. Yeah, and for now I'm pretty happy getting my stuff up, actually building also a generator over here. So that's where the Chaos Lord is not, and also I can upgrade this listening post, which will protect it very easily. Getting this point now up, and now getting this point up as well, and we'll get another generator because I need tier 2 at some point. That's how it is. For now I think I have enough Assault Marines, and also adding more and more scouts so that I can challenge now finally this Chaos Lord, so he needs to run away. Or the shotgun fire does not knock him over, but the damage is adding up over time. So they even killed now this listening post over here, but I think I can challenge that with 3 scouts and this ASM. I still need to finish the second generator to be able to take to tier 2, which I currently cannot. For For now I'm just parking here. I should park a little closer to the heavy cover. Because this is heavy cover, this will give you quite the defense bonuses. But for now, as you see, I'm building up the listing post, so we're having actually a hell of a lot of builders. Not sure what is this all about. Yeah, so you see my one scout is decapping, I think. Yeah, and these... No, they are capping it, that's why. So I can't just stand here killing a lot of models. You see here, this guy will also fall over again. And then we have these guys getting meleeed by these old marines. They can make all the process of capping it to none. And yeah, I think I reinforced quite a bunch. These scouts are fully reinforced. These ASM are almost fully reinforced. Adding more and more generators because I am already attacking to tier 2. Yeah, that's good. Then I can upgrade listing posts over here, and at the generator would be nice. For now, I'm pretty happy with the position I have. I now use the time to tier 2, get some frag grenades, getting some power sword upgrades, plasma pistol upgrades, all the good stuff, and then have a really strong tier 2 engagement where I use the veterans, the Primaris, ASM, and the ASM I often have on the field. I can get, basically this is the ASM in melee and the scouts in support, and the scout support is really strong, even especially when these guys focus on the ASM rather than the scouts. So now I just stand here. These ASM take a lot of damage, they will get reinforced, but there's also a hell of a lot of scouts shooting in the back, so I gladly stay here for a bit. You see, I lose quite a lot of models, but I still am reinforcing and morale is not lost. And yeah, killing enough models that I can actually sustain this fight, which is really nice. Grenades are now done. Tier 2 is now done. What do I get? Power pistol, plasma pistols and power swords, and the first Primaris Assault Intercessor Squad. So I now get these Scout Sergeants, which also get plasma pistols, and also the Assault Marine Sergeant, which does make good use of these power sword. Yeah, and for now I'm happy to actually cap this up again and stand here because I'm waiting my also important upgrades. And I think I also get more and more points because I have built too much generators here, at least one too much. So I will need to use this to upgrade points. For now I'm just standing here, but you will notice that I will get, I think, the point over here or the point over here now. Maybe even another point because I have excess power, which I need to bring to a more requisition. So probably this point next, not sure. I notice these guys in the middle and will jump momentarily. Yeah, this point now as well. So I try to maximize my requisition income because the stuff I'm doing here with the Primaris Intercessors and all the infantry costs a hell of a lot of requisition, which I want to have enough of course. Not sure if I upgrade even more. Now I notice this listing post is not upgraded, so I bring these guys over. And what I try to do is, I could challenge those, but I try to make a little arc with my guys over here, not blobbing them up, so they cannot be tied down as easily. You see I'm here now just pulling off two guys over here, trying to challenge those guys, even getting now the other scouts in as well. Melter bomb being thrown, but for now left alone, and now the Primaris Assault Intercessors coming in. There they come. To join the fray, you could say. And then at some point I think I will get also the first veteran squad out. And you will notice if you get these sergeants on these units, you will get 2 infantry pops. So I am 12 now because I have the ASM sergeant. Once I have the Primaris sergeant I will get another 2. And from the veterans the sergeant also gives another 2. So as I said, you do not need any infantry cap upgrades. For now I have 2 the normal ASM, the Primaris ASM and the Assault Veterans, and the Assault Veterans also get a sergeant, so then I will have 16, which then allows me to field the Veterans, which costs 3. So I'm even now fighting in the enemy base because I feel like it. I will now try to use more and more of those grenades of the scouts, and also the Primaris Intercessors also have normal frag grenades, which I can use very nicely against these only infantry opponent over here. Not sure if he's tier 2, but I don't think he can make good use of it. Now comes the second veteran squad. Now I've fielded all the units that I have, and you will now probably see my resources plummet a bit because I need to reinforce all of that. But yeah, GG is called already, and yeah, using now, I could have used all the melter bombs even if there's like a quick vehicle out. You have melter bombs on 1, 2, and on 4 squads you have melter bombs. So you can kind of fight off vehicles, but not sustained. So if you want to fight vehicles, you would need to add a vehicle production building, because all your infantry is being used by this blob over here. So what you can add would be vehicles, and if you go wings, it would be probably either a land speeder or land speeder tempest. Normally I prefer the land speeder tempest, but if it must be quicker, you can also get a land speeder and then give him a melter gun, for example. So this was 2 replays. As I said, they went through pretty easily, I would say, because they worked out pretty well as making use of some mistakes of the opponent. In general, I would consider both of them viable, as they are pretty aggressive and T1 orientated, which is something that most of the times pays off. So yeah, with this out of the way, as usual guys, I would say thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Bye bye!